spice root and AFTI together. We got this idea to have this poster designing workshop because we got a lot of queries from delegates who have registered for various conferences for a guidance as to how to design a poster in the right way. So we thought, let us have a workshop and have a one-on-one discussion. And hopefully, if this goes well, we can have a series of workshop as well. So let's start. I'll give you a brief outline of the program. We'll have two speakers, Dr. Zarin and Dr. Ramkrishna Prasad, who will be talking about the theoretical aspects on from the article as to what needs to go onto the poster. And two of our tech experts, Dr. Serin and Dr. Akshay, will guide us on the designing aspect of it. So let's start. First, I want to invite Dr. Zarin. So she's a family medicine specialist and the founder secretary of AFTI Kerala. Currently, she is pursuing her clinical research in US. Zarin, I welcome you. And along with her, we have Dr. Ramkrishna Prasad. He's the vice president of AFTI Karnataka, and he leads the research chapter of AFTI. So our first part of the session will be taken care by Dr. Zarin and Dr. R.K. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Jyotika. I'll share my screen. Okay, so good evening, everyone. So without any further ado, let's start with the workshop on scientific design of posters. Okay. So the learning objectives for today, we'll be talking about what's a scientific poster and what's the purpose of a scientific poster and what are the challenges you face while having a poster presentation. So we hope. Sorry, sir.
It's not shared the screen.
Your screen was shared earlier, but now it's not. Yes, now it is.
Is it fine now?
Yes, it's clear.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we'll be talking about all these, why the poster is important and what's the purpose of a poster presentation and what are the challenges all of us face while having a poster presentation. And then Dr. R.K. will take you through a right to left approach of how you select your topic and how your research work finally ends into a poster. And then we'll briefly discuss about the anatomy of a poster. And then Dr. Serin and Dr. Akshay will take you to the designing part. So by the end of this session, we hope that you'll be able to make a clear and a simple poster that is easy to read and well organized, and that can give your viewers the most important message of your research work. So coming to what is a scientific poster, now all of us know, all of you attending this session will be knowing how a scientific poster differs from the normal posters that we see around. So it's basically a visual presentation of the summary of your research work. It is the academic expression of the work that you have done on something that has aroused your interest. And this message has to be conveyed to the viewers. So what's the purpose of a poster presentation? Though it's a one-to-one conversation, it has the potential to reach a very large audience because as you know, it will be exhibited in a hallway, and even in your absence, there'll be people walking through the hallway and looking at it. So your message of the research work that you have done should be conveyed in a very simple, clear, and that is pleasing to the eyes. And poster presentation is also a very valuable tool for learning and assessment. And during your poster presentation, you'll get a lot of feedbacks, critiques. You can make a lot of networkings and create collaborations. So what are the challenges that you will face in having a poster presentation? So some would say that an oral presentation is more tougher, but I would say a poster presentation is tougher than giving an oral presentation. So the challenge comes here is you need to grab the viewer's attention in the very limited time that you're allotted to, or even in your absence, because you may not be present before your poster throughout the conference. So even in your absence, the poster should speak of your research work. So how do you grab this attention of the viewers? For this, the content should be interesting, and also the design of it should be appealing to the eyes. So now, Sir will take you to a right to left approach where how you will decide on choosing your research topic and the timeline that you should be maintaining. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Zarin, and thanks to all the organizers for this great opportunity. Can I have a few of you respond on the chat? How many of you have presented a poster? Just respond. Me. Fantastic. So Anuna has, who else?
Anuna, Ashwati.
Labiba, who else? How many of you have never presented a poster? Say no.
Okay, 5 of them have. Anyone who hasn't?
Who has never presented a poster? Please type in no. Okay, very good, Sangeeta. Thank you. Who else? Okay, Nasiba. Who else?
3.
Nadeem. Okay. Ramkumar. Okay. Great. So that's this is a good group. So some of you have struggled with the process of presenting a poster, and some of you have never presented a poster. My hope is that many of you will be coming to FMPC, and some of you definitely will have a poster. If it's not FMPC, given that AFBI conducts several conferences, especially AFBI Kerala, I'm sure you'll have opportunities. I want you to utilize those opportunities. I will talk about what goes into a poster and how should one think about presenting one's work in the poster. So poster is a format. And one of the things I'll introduce here is how do you think in terms of a project or a program from the right to the left? The typical way we often think, Zarin, I'll be requesting you to move the slides. Before I go to the next slide, how many of you attempted to respond to the questionnaire which we had posted? Please just say I or something like that. Respond on the chat box. Thank you, Ashwati. Who else? Anyone else? Okay, Ashwati, can I invite you to just share your reaction? How did it feel? Just share a couple of things that you experienced when you filled it out. Can Ashwati speak?
Ashwati, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, good evening, sir.
Yes, yes, Ashwati, please go ahead.
I'm audible, sir.
Yes, you are clearly audible. Yes.
Yes, sir. I've presented a poster in the last FPI state conference,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't make the poster myself. I actually went to a computer center and then asked them. I just had the contents, so I asked them to do it the way I wanted it.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
didn't know the answer to the question of what font they used, or the size of the font, or size of the heading, or anything. So I didn't have much, many answers.
Okay, Dr. Akshay, and listening to Dr. Zarin, Dr. Akshay, Dr. Serin, you'll have several answers. Now, what was your poster on? What was the topic?
My topic was on perceptions and practices among mothers of children with febrile seizure.
Okay, fantastic. And this was during your residency, post-graduation?
Yeah, I'm doing my post-graduation right now. I'm final year student, so I did it a few months back.
Okay, wonderful. When did you start your project? I'll just ask you a few questions, and then I have a couple of slides. When did you start your project?
It's actually my thesis topic. I did a thesis in the same in my post-graduation. So I presented as a poster in the conference.
In the conference. Had you applied for a poster, or had you applied for an oral presentation?
I applied for poster. In the state, in the national conference, I've applied for both poster and paper.
Okay, and have they accepted anything for the national conference?
Yes, they have accepted my abstract.
As a poster or oral presentation?
For both, sir. It's different
Wonderful.
topics. Yeah, two different topics. Yeah.
Okay. Today, when you filled out the questionnaire, what were some questions you found difficult in terms of answering?
The technical aspects mostly. Then about the font and the size, size of the heading and size of the font, and all those questions, technical questions.
Okay, so Serin, Zarin, and Akshay are here to talk about that. Did you struggle with answering any of the content questions as to what should go into the poster? What should be your title, or bullet points, or your research question, things like that?
So actually, it was my thesis topic, so I knew the content and all that. So I was quite sure about the content, but just how it should be presented, that was the problem.
Okay, thank you so much, Ashwati.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah, Zarin, can you please advance the slides? Next slide, please.
One second. Why is it that I'm not able to forward?
Okay.
One second.
Yeah, sure. Please take it. So, no, this was actually very useful to listen to you, Ashwati. What I want you to take home from the next 5 minutes is that, see, the poster is a culmination of your own learning project, or your own learning project, or your research project. It could be your thesis, it could be a project you're doing. Many times, this is a daunting task. It's really scary. You don't know, first of all, like Ashwati mentioned, I really don't know. Do even doctors or scientists, or do we make posters, or is it made in a shop, for example? And then how do I present? Now, many times a thesis project goes on for a year, goes on for 2 years. How do I bring 2 years of experience and learning into a single poster? So this can be a daunting task. And many times what happens is we start making the poster very late. Like I have to write an abstract, like, for example, if say, so AFPI Kerala, every year in the first week of January, typically, or at least in the month of January, organizes its state conference. What happens is, now they may ask for posters for abstract submissions by, say, November. Now, writing an abstract takes some thinking. And then making a presentation after the abstract gets accepted also takes preparation. So sometimes because we don't know how to approach it, we take a lot of time, and we may start the previous day, start like 3-4 days before the conference, and it can be very stressful. One of the other challenges which happens in finding a project or working on a project is it seems so daunting, because we start thinking, I need to collect a lot of data. I need, for example, if somebody says, I want to know perceptions among pregnant women, in my head, I may have this imagination that, oh my God, I need to collect this information, do a survey or something from 400 women, 300 women. And unless all my data has been collected, I don't even have a story or a poster to present. What I want you to leave is that a poster is a fantastic tool you can utilize almost at any point in the life cycle of a project. For example, there have been several posters that I have presented, or I have encouraged my team members to present, when the idea is at a formative stage. It's a very formative idea. What happens? Maybe you don't go and present that poster hoping to win the best poster award. But what happens is 4 or 5 people will come and talk to you. They'll provide their feedback to you. Some of it may even sound like criticism. But if you say, no, this is actually helping shape my ideas, then you come back with a lot of confidence and actually a lot of clarity. You say, that was the feedback I received, because the people who will give you feedback are many times not people involved with your project. So they can look at what you're doing with fresh eyes. And this itself is very valuable. So I want you to think about a poster or a paper. This applies actually to any form of scholarship where you distill your learnings, synthesize your learnings, and present your learnings as a story or a format of some form. So ask yourself, determine the right question we want to answer to achieve a certain goal. So many times the question is not, exactly your thesis question. Well, what is the percentage of patients with sickle cell anemia among those coming to a rural clinic? That is not your question. Question is something like, by presenting this poster, what am I trying to achieve? and then think about this from there on. Next slide, please. Oh, it's okay. You have to okay. Right. So the main take-home point here is that the poster is a culmination of your research work. Next slide, please. I want you to think about, so in doing any research study, research project, there are a number of steps. What are certain types of steps? Like, first of all, you have to arrive at a research idea or a topic. This topic may be something you arrive at in discussion with your mentor or your thesis guide, or even independent. Then you have to frame that as a research question which is answerable. Many times you may have a primary guide, but you also need some other mentors with whom you may engage informally or sometimes formally. An important thing is one must start thinking early on itself as to how does my study or my work advance the literature in a certain field, because that determines whether your work will get published or it will not get published. And then where will I publish? One of the beautiful things which has happened, at least in India, in the field of family medicine and primary care, is we have our own journal. We have a fantastic journal, the Journal of Family Medicine and Primary Care. So I, for example, 90% of any research or any project I engage in, I look to publish in the Journal of Family Medicine and Primary Care, because I know it is in the family, in the field of family medicine. I know the reviewers are family physicians who understand my perspective, and it both contributes to the field and will contribute to your learning. And then there are all these steps of doing a literature review, finalizing what is your methodology, ethics review, and things like that. In making a poster, when you have a week or so left, or maybe 2 weeks, when you start thinking, how do I organize all my thoughts and put it in a poster? I want you to think from right to left. Like, go ahead and ask, in order for me to put this into a poster, what must I be able to present from these different sections? The questionnaire that we shared today, I tried it out this morning. I asked 3-4 of my team members. I said, here, just answer this questionnaire. And what I saw was very interesting. What they did was each of them, whatever project they were working on, they started copy pasting 100 words from that into the different sections and editing it within that. And one of the girls even told me that by doing that exercise, it took them about 20 minutes. I checked 15 to 20 minutes, and one person took 25 minutes. But at the end of that, if they had a format in mind to do a poster, you can actually copy paste those sections. And then all of a sudden you have a content, and you have content populated. And the question then becomes, as a presenter, how do I tell the story I want to tell? Whom do I want to tell my story? So who is my audience? And how will I tell the story? So this was something which emerged from our conversation today. Zarin, I'll hand it over.
Sorry to interrupt. How much more time do you need?
I'm done. So over to Zarin now. Okay. Zarin will speak about the anatomy of a poster and the individual segments that go in and how they should be developed. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, so now we have decided your topic, and now you come across something that a conference has been announced. So the first and foremost thing that I would want you to say, well, what I would like to say is you save the date of the conference and also save the deadline date of the poster submission. And the deadline date should be saved, not in the hope that the deadline will be extended, but make sure that the work that you have already done becomes a poster before the deadline. Then go to the conference website and make sure that you follow the guidelines. So you'll get an idea of who the audience are, what the conference is about, and based on that, you can decide your theme, or you can change the theme, the way you present the poster. And then the designing of the poster comes, and after you've designed your poster, do a practice in front of your colleagues and mentors before you do the final presentation. So coming to the anatomy or the contents of the poster, these are the main sections: the title, the introduction, which should include the background and the rationale, the objectives, methodology, results, conclusions, and authorship and references. So do you want to talk about the title?
Yeah, I just want to make a point that, the title is the only, there are only two things which people notice when they walk around to come to a poster. The first thing is you. It's not the poster, it's actually you. If you're standing next to the poster and you're looking interested, people will come and want to see what you're doing. The second advertisement is the title. If your title is short, and if it's either a statement which provokes someone, or it's a question which intrigues someone, that's when people stand there and say, hey, tell me more about your poster. If your poster title is like review of the 10 methodologies of diarrhea in malaria, people typically cannot and don't pay attention to that. So the main take home point is here is your title should be short. It should either be a statement or it should be a question which either provokes someone or intrigues someone. That was the main point.
So basically, it should actually reflect the content of the entire poster. So.
Or the conclusion of your findings. The main point, main find.
Then you have the introduction. So introduction, as I said, this should include the background and the rationale. You can state your research question under this. And this should tell the viewers like what motivated you to take up this study, whether there was a lacking in the literature or you found something interesting, or you wanted to add something interesting or something that was not known to the already present literature. And the objectives, here comes the purpose of your study. You can state the primary objectives and if any secondary objectives you have. So the main thing that I want to highlight here is you should not be including, if you're using sentences, use it a very limited text, or the best way to do it is use the bullet points, and then you can go on discussing it rather than writing entire thing on the poster and overcrowding it. Then next comes the methodology section. So this should be simple but to point. So this should include your study design, the sample size, the population from where you have taken your sample, and the methods used for statistical analysis. So this should also be included in a very precise and clear manner. Don't include it in like very big sentences, but just know what your design is, and then you can go on talking about it, or depending on the viewers' questions, you can discuss more on it. So the results would be the space that takes up most of your poster. And this should summarize the data, your research work, and report your results of your statistical analysis. So this should be presented in a way that is very appealing to the eyes. You can include graphs or tables, maybe like 2 to 3 maximum. And you can highlight the key findings using bullets. Next would be the conclusion, where this should include the main take-home message for the viewers. You can write down the relevance of your findings, what conclusions you drew, and the implication of your results. Just highlight the points, and then during discussion, you can take the viewers to the part they want to, because some viewers might be interested in knowing, okay, fine, you've got this result, so what's your next step? Or some of them might be interested in knowing, did you meet your objective, or was your hypothesis proved? Or if not, then what is your next step? So just include the relevant findings and then take the discussion as how the viewers are interested in. Next would be the authorship. Sir, do you want to talk about the authorship and the organization logos?
Right. So logos attract. And they also lend credibility. Like, for example, behind Dr. Serin's, you can see how clearly AFPI is shown, or the Spice Route Movement logo is shown. These attract. They also lend credibility. So please include them. Authorship order. Whoever makes the poster should be the primary author. Sometimes someone else might have contributed towards making the poster with you. They should be listed as the second author or whatever. Many times, if a mentor has played a significant role in towards the design of not just the poster, but the project itself, they can be listed as the last author. So that's the typical author. Unless your study is a very major study in which 5-10 people collaborated to do so, most posters have a limited number of authors, and it is okay to acknowledge the others. In any project, multiple people contribute in multiple capacities. It's not necessary or essential to list everyone who has contributed or participated as a co-author, but you typically would be the first author, and a mentor is a senior author or last author.
So the take-home messages mainly for the content of your poster would be, your academic posters should be an advertisement of the research work that you have done, and prepare in advance. That is really important. Now stick to a clear format, which is easy to read and rehearse in front of your colleagues, your mentors, and answer their questions and get their feedbacks, and also think about the questions you may be asked. So now I hand over to Dr. Serin and Dr. Akshay for the designing part.
Thank you, Dr. Zarin and RK. Can I now invite Dr. Serin and Dr. Akshay? Quick introduction. Dr. Serin, of course, is our national chair of the Spice Route India movement. He's also the EIS officer at NCDC New Delhi. He and Dr. Akshay, who's also a consultant in primary care, public health, medical law, ethics, and digital health, they both will be taking us through the steps of the technical aspects on designing a poster. I think after we have the presentation, we can take in questions for all four of them. And in the meanwhile, you can post your questions in the chat box.
Okay, thank you, Jyotika. So we'll try to quickly cover how to make an effective poster in 10 to 15 minutes. That will be very difficult task for me. But our idea about this session was to include 10 participants, and we have around 10 12 participants now. So that was to make sure that everyone should get a chance to interact. Otherwise, just won't give any productive output. So let me go to the designing part. So all these parts are already covered by Dr. RK and Dr. Zarin. So I'll be going to the main elements as already discussed by Dr. Zarin and Dr. RK. The main contents, title, name, all these things should be there. You already know. So let's go to the practical aspects. So poster appearance. So I would like to get answers from everyone. So please answer in the chat box. Which poster do you prefer? Just please don't look into the content. Just say left or right. The one, which one you prefer? Left side of the screen or right side of the screen? Yes, left, 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 left. No one for right. Okay, great. So I also go with the majority, not because, yeah, fish poster. Yes. So so our fish poster gets the award for the best poster. So we'll come to see why everyone is interested. We don't know about the poster. We didn't look into the content. Still, everyone is ready to accept that the left poster means the fish poster is the logo with the fish. The poster with the fish logo is the best. So we'll come to more details. I want everyone to be active with their writing skills in the chat box. Uh, so when you design a poster, so you should have an idea. So I already the poster is a form of art. It's a canvas. Basically, you are reproducing your science in the form of a poster. So you should have a rough idea about your poster, rough plan about your whatever study you have conducted. You should have that idea in your mind. So what all already well explained by Dr. RK and Dr. Zarin. What was your theme? What came out of that study? What are the findings? What all you want to convey through your poster? All those things. Then you should have these standard headings. We already discussed all those things, and we have to limit the words to the possible minimum. And as already Zarin, pictures can tell 1,000 words. So try to include attractive pictures, and we'll go to the details of pictures in the coming slides. So please, you should have an idea before starting, rather than entrusting somebody to do that. You are the researcher. You are the one who is going to present the poster. So you should have the clear idea what are the important points in that poster. So what will be in the text format, what will be in the format of graphs, figures, uh, etc. And your poster must be standalone. So uh, like Dr. RK already mentioned, if somebody comes by, they'll be looking at you, and then the heading of the poster. So suppose you are not there, that person should be attracted to your post. So uh, this is an example from our last AFPI FP on Kerala poster. This was designed by Dr. Alvin. It's a very good poster. So we'll come to see more about the elements. So it should have an introduction. So why this fish, the poster with the fish logo? Basically, it has three columns. It has an introduction, method, results, discussion, everything. And the background is neutral. So we'll come to those elements one by one. So why we are interested in that poster? That is because the visual hierarchy. So you'll be wondering what is visual hierarchy. That is how the elements are arranged in a design. So again, now I have a question for all of you. Please respond in the chat. Which visiting card you like most, before or after, left or right? Everyone, please ask. Please answer. After. 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 No one for before. Everyone for after. After. So why? That is because the elements are properly arranged in that particular visiting card. So that is the visual hierarchy. The name is there. After that, email address is there, phone number is there. But that is the visual hierarchy that is maintained in that particular design. So naturally, we humans are aligned in such a way that most of the information we collect through our eyes. So whenever you design a poster, you have to keep this principle in your mind. You have to keep that visual hierarchy in all your posters. So I already mentioned, we try to, let's go back. We try to focus on differences. So here on the left side, we see all letters are in the same font, same size. But on the right side, there is a difference with font as well as the color. And again, the combination of fonts. So that is what meant by the visual hierarchy. So we should give very much importance to the this concept of visual hierarchy. So poster is communication and design is communication. So good design gives an effective poster. So again, coming to the details of visual hierarchy, how are we going? Now we know that we in order to get a good poster, we have to do something like this, or something like this fish logo poster. So how will we do that? There are certain elements. We'll rush through those elements. So first thing is negative and positive space. So we need negative space and positive space. Contrast, repetition, proximity, color, alignment, typography. So we'll see one by one. So what is a negative space and a positive space? So again, can everyone answer in this? So what do you see? Two faces or one vase? What do you see? Please answer quickly. Both. Yeah. So what do you see? I mean, the question was actually, what do you see first? Face or vase? Both are there, I agree. What do you see first? Face. Vase first. Vase. So most of the people see vase first and then face. So that is purely one's perception. So we can see either face or vase, not a big deal. But what I'm trying to tell is, if you see face, that is the positive space, and what comes after that, that is the negative space. So if you see vase, that is the positive space, and in that case face comes as the negative negative space. So while designing a poster, there should be positive space as well as negative space. So if so, let's go back to the fish poster for the better clarity. So if you see the letters first, then that is your positive space. So suppose if I give a some very attractive background, then you will be attracted, or the reader, or the judge, whoever comes to judge your or reads your poster, will be focused to that particular background or some other particular image. So then that will be the positive space. So you have to keep that balance, the positive space and negative space. Here also we have that positive space and negative space. So that thing is balanced, very well balanced here. And one thing I would like to add with that, you see the around the poster there is enough free space. So that is again negative space, and that negative space is giving prominence to the text in the poster. So you should balance that positive space and negative space. Now coming back to contrast. So there are multiple. So I already mentioned, everyone agreed that the visiting card on the right side is their favorite one. Why? Because that has some contrast. Again, that has some color contrast, font contrast, and the alignment also different. So the ways to make create some contrast. So first, by creating size, that we already saw, by texture, by position, by shape, by color, and then the final one, orientation. Now just have a one quick look in the same visiting card. So now please think about all these points about contrast, and have a look again: size, texture, position, shape, color, orientation. So now we'll see to the colors. So colors, I know
Sorry
you.
to interrupt. How much more time do you need?
I need to finish colors and two more components. That's it.
Oh.
So I know it may be difficult to digest all these things in a very short time span, but I'm trying my best to finish. So color is little bit complicated. So there are two ways to use color. So first, as an emotional tool. Second, as an organizational tool. So when we design a poster, before giving some color, especially in India, so you paint in one color. If you create some particular color background, that gives some message to the audience. So always be very careful while selecting colors. Try to select neutral colors as much as possible. So blue is cool, red is warm, orange is warm, yellow is warm, and so please try to maintain that neutrality in your posters. So here we can see again many colors are there, but this is a periodic table. So here color is used as the tool to organize different elements. So that also we can do. So basically there are two tones, warm and cool. So those two tones give entirely different feelings to the audience. So please make sure that you select the proper color tone. So again, the another poster, I won't say this is a good one because there are so many flaws in this poster, but would like to demonstrate the organizational way of using colors. So they have divided the entire poster into 3 columns, so that everything is divided into 3 and 3. That organization I want to highlight in this poster. Now, so while using color, try to minimize the number of colors. Try to use maximum 3 colors. But we know that we have to use graphs. So in that case, how will we do that? The good thing is to use, instead of multiple colors, we can use color patterns. So the another thing is repetition. So so can you tell quickly what is being repeated here? Anyone in the chat box, please? What is being repeated in this poster? Image, then correct. No, means please don't go to the headings. The very basic thing is we have 3 columns here: left, middle, right. So and the pattern that keeps repeating, so that gives some extra importance to the content. So just like any just like an ad, the moment you see the same ad, that gets some kind of importance in your brain. So like this, in the same way, if we repeat the same structure, it can be in different ways. So again, here what you see, what is the repetition here? The yellow color dots are being repeated in the same manner, and the white color dots also repeating in the same manner. So we have to try, we have to keep that rhythm in the posters. Now another thing is the proximity. Now if you try to keep elements together, that gives a feeling that they are near to each other. If you try to remove the items far, then naturally that gives the feeling that those items are not related. Now coming to the alignment part. So this is how alignment gives a proper feeling to the poster. So on the right side of the screen, you can see the same thing is arranged in the right side with proper alignment. So that gives the that support to the visual hierarchy. So can you tell me what is wrong with this poster? I want everyone to answer. Ashwadi, yes. Alignment, then? Yes, exactly. Too many boxes, yes. Yes. So so all those things are there. Alignment is not correct. We don't know which side to from where to start, where to end, which direction we should go. So usually we should go, we can, in posters we can follow, we can create columns, or we can create left to right or in the shape of Z. Now coming to the fonts, Dr. Ashwati was telling that she wasn't sure about fonts. So there are many fonts, but always try to avoid fancy fonts. We are doing we can use those fonts in other posters and other creatives, but while doing scientific presentation, try to use the classical font pairings. So if we go back to the visiting card, there is a pairing of fonts. So just like that, we have to use classical font pairings. So that will again reinforce the image of the poster in our mind. So these are some examples: Myriad, Castellan, Myriad, Black Minion, Franklin, Baskerville, Gill Sans, Garamond. All these fonts we can get freely from the internet. All these fonts are free. So can anybody answer what is your favorite font? Please. Arial. Then Minion. Okay. Gill Sans, Franklin. Okay. Okay. So always try to use classical fonts and try to limit the number of fonts you use, maximum 2 or 3, not more than that. So again, font size. Dr. Ashwati was telling she was not sure about the size of fonts. So try to use maximum number of the large size of fonts. So the idea is your poster should be clearly legible at a distance of 6 feet. So that's the limit. And try to make your poster, means try to make your heading as large as possible. We always say try to make it large, then add another 10% so that we can make sure that it's really large. And so that's it. I will hand over to Dr. Akshay.
Hey, thanks. Jyotika, how many minutes should I spend the max?
How many minutes do you need otherwise?
Maybe 5.
Yeah, you can take 10 minutes, no problem.
Okay, fine. So can you, while I'm just setting this up, can you put, I mean, all of you, what your favorite tools for making need not be just your favorite, just write down whatever tools you know can be used to make a poster. Software, hardware, whatever. You know, there's a big fine. So for whoever is writing PowerPoint, I have a thing for you at the end of this. I mean, towards the end of this 10 minutes, in one life will not easy.
Akshay, sorry, I think there is a lot of
Yes.
background sound your side.
Okay. So this is just some slides taken from the internet, some posters that kind of show good uh, good things. I mean, just take it as inspiration. Don't take it as any rule that this is the way to do it. This is not the way to do it. Anything like that. So, I mean, while I was researching these, I found a rule by a person whose name I forget now. He just said, poster is about just laying out your content in the most aesthetic way possible and giving it a very descriptive title that catches people's attention. So and then the rest is about presentation. And I'm sure in online presentations it doesn't make as much sense, but nevertheless. So I will share these slides so that you can click on the images and see where they are coming from. And I've also not added attribution directly, but nevertheless. So this is a simple 3-column, just the way Serin was describing, a poster with lots of negative space, white space, simple. And so this this set of slides will start simple and then it'll become even fun towards the end. So um, notice the use of limited number of colors. Even the logo and these graphs have kind of similar colors, which makes it very few colors in total. Here's another one. Very well aligned. These tables are aligned. The columns are so cleanly separated. There's a bit of text at this column, but nevertheless works out. Some people may not like this. This is too verbose. There's lots of text, but it's an example of a very minimal design, very brutal design. So I just put it in. Again, something that we can all kind of do. This is another 3-column layout. Hope I was visible all this while. This is another 3-column layout. Notice the use of repetition of colors. There's only like 3 colors used in this entire thing, although there are lots of images. So notice the use of colors. Notice how things are aesthetically distributed. All of that. Now things start becoming a bit crazy now. Okay, here they've kind of stopped using headings as a separate block as such. They've given numbers so that people can follow which follows what, but it's still aligned. I mean, you can still see that headings are aligned. And there's a nice background. There's a nice gradient here. I mean, these are all inspirations in order to mix and match in your presentation designs. Here people have started putting more infographical posters. In fact, if you look at it, it doesn't have any of the components that the others were talking about till now. There's no methodology, there's no no headings at all. It's just an abstract and lots of infographics. So I mean, from here on, this slideshow is going to be very controversial. These are all just inspiration. You can you can be as bold as you want in your presentations. After all, it's your posters. So take what you want out of it. This is actually designed by one of my friends. She did a study on virtual technology use, and in the middle of this poster, it's actually empty. I added a picture of a tablet there because in the real presentation, she kept an actual physical tablet on the in the middle of the poster, and that had details of the study and further results and things like that. So, I mean, sky is your limit if you can imagine things. Here, there's lots of images here, very little text. I just kept it as a prelude to what is coming next. So this is actually, among all the slides, this one is my favorite because it has a very nice balance of text, images. The visual aesthetic is very nice. Everything is nice about this. I mean, you can have your own favorites. Is another minimal one. If you notice, this is a pattern that is coming up recently, where the center in the middle, there's a huge attention grabbing something. So here there's an image. I mean, there are many images, and that gets most of the space. And then there are sidebars. So the introduction, methods, results, discussion are all in the sidebars. So this is a new generation design. You might not have, you might not find this useful in today's competitions. Is another one, a mix and match of older and newer designs. This is completely designer style. Lots, even the photo of the author is there, and then I mean it just fits. The design team is a very nice one. Just another one. Here they've gone completely out of the ordinary. They've given a big background. I mean, I think this paper is about this picture. I mean, about this plant. So lots of things that you can do when you've decided to break all the rules. So this is one such thing. This is that center heavy pattern. So the main point of the paper is presented in the middle, and then the rest is all in the sidebars. So that's a pattern. This is something called a butter pattern. I won't go into the details, but you can read about it. This is called an L pattern. Here again, the main point is in one corner, and then there are lots of things in the side. This is a complete designer heavy pattern. I mean, it was done by a designer, so it's about the frog. But then, I mean, these are also posters. I'm just including these just to show how much we can take it to an extent. So there are some technical issues you have to be careful about. While printing, the colors need not come exactly the way they are seeing in the screen. So if you see, this is the soft copy, but then this is what happened in reality when it was printed. This is due to a difference between the printing style that is used, CMYK, RGB, and things like that. So be careful when you're using colors. Just make sure that they print out well before you get the final print. Another tip is when you're saving, there's an option in file option, PowerPoint options, to embed fonts. So if you are using a font that is not commonly available in computers, make sure that you embed the font within the file so that when someone edits it, they're also able to see that. And then there are some things which you do to make your life easier on PowerPoint. I have only 1 minute left. This slide, I meant to say use keyboard shortcuts as much as possible. At least know how to use arrow keys. When you select a thing and you move it with arrow keys, you can easily reposition things. So at least know that. And then the rest of these slides, there are some links which you can go to for PowerPoint tips. This is on design tips. So how to decrease number of colors. So you can see on the left, there's too many colors, but on the right, there are only very few colors. That makes it aesthetically more appealing. So this is a tip I was going to say for all PowerPoint users, and it is actually for any kind of tool that you're using. If you just search on Google for whatever template, 3-column templates research paper that you want with PPT, then you will get lots of templates. So you need not start from scratch. All the fonts will be in place. You can even see how the final poster will look like, and then edit it. So that is easier if you're just getting started. So I've just put some template links, but you can also find more links. So these are some links. So thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Akshay and Serin. If both of you could also post your email ID on the chat box so that the delegates could reach out in case of queries. We can take questions for next 10 minutes, if any, or if there are any closing remarks from any of the panelists. Anuna is asking, sir, the space between contents.
Let me answer that. Whatever
Yes.
is aesthetically pleasing. I don't know what
In
Serin
inches.
says.
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly my answer.
I wanted to add a very important point that Akshay mentioned. It's not about your format. It is not about, introduction should be there. It's about storytelling. What is the message? What do you want to draw attention to? what is it that you want to communicate? So whatever strikes your fancy and seems aesthetically pleasing to you, that should take priority over any prescribed format.
Akshay, can you please share that to make that point clear? Can you please share that slides again? There is one picture, there is one poster about showing the flowers, no? Can you share that? Yeah, here, this one, this one. So actually, usually we tell not to engage the background with contrast pictures, high quality images like that. But here in this case, uh, they want to convey something. So they want to highlight that picture. That is why it is included. So actually that is just like Dr. RK told, it is all about what you want to convey to your audience. So that is the basic idea, rather than all other things are there, but ultimately this is what you want to convey to your audience.
And I mean, this is a great example. Thank you, Serin. See, look at this. If my attention is drawn to the flower, to the flower on the left and the four figures, inherent. Now, most of the posters are presented to audiences who already know something similar to what you know, right? So when for example, I look at this, the methodology is inherent. So when I see, oh, this is interesting that the pollen, for example, foragers, there seems to be a difference. Then I can actually ask the presenter or look for any mention of methodology elsewhere in the poster. If I don't find it, still nothing lost. I will make a note of the person the author of this, and perhaps look them up on the internet. So so primarily this is a poster is a conversation starter. So
and when you said internet, many people these days include a QR code to find more details about their poster or the study in their poster itself. That may be something you can also think about.
there was one question about what to include in the method section if one is presenting a case report. So Ashwathi, I mean, there can be several bullet points you can include. Number one, you can include if consent was taken, because that's a part of methodology of a case report. Number two, you can include why the case was chosen. Each of us sees 10 cases a day, but we don't write a case report on everything. So you can write why the case was chosen. Then you can write what was the pro forma written standard history, physical examination, and lab investigations were performed. If you gave perhaps an incentive, like the patient was asked to come back to the clinic for a repeat examination, and if there was an incentive given, like bus ticket was given, so all these actually constitute methodology. Photograph was taken. How did you take the photograph? Was taken using an iPhone or a smartphone. These all constitute methodology. You can put them in. And ethics, of course, ethics approval was not deemed necessary, but the signature of the patient on the consent form was submitted for either publication or to the to a board or something like that. So all these considered methodology.
I think that answers your question, Ashwati. Any more doubts anyone has? Any other tips from the panelists? So should we wrap up then? If there are
I'll
no more
ask the question to panelists.
Yes, Akshay.
I mean, these days things are becoming, I mean, maybe it's coming back to normal, but there are so many online poster presentations without lots of printing involved. Is there any change in how you approach that? versus printed oral presentation of a poster?
That's a question to the panelists.
I don't know. Anyone can answer. I mean, if in the Karnataka conference,
RK, you're on mute. Yeah, or even if anyone
I can share my views on this. See, actually, some of the personal touch and the personal interaction which happens when you have a physical poster, that has become less. But I'll tell you the good thing. Good thing is now with the online or virtual presentation mode, your audience is actually the entire world. So I may make a presentation on, say, FPI Kerala conference, but I can post my my poster on LinkedIn. So whoever is interested, ultimately, what is this? A poster, a paper, these are all tools and methods of dissemination and of drawing attention. I have worked on this. Please look at my findings. Look at me. The ultimate objective is actually look at me. Look, I'm doing this. So you post it on Twitter, you post it on LinkedIn, I don't know, Instagram, wherever. And what this does is this enables the creation and fostering of a community of practice. So there will be other faculty, other physicians, other students who look at you and say, "Oh, you've done that," and they may become your friends on Twitter. That's kind of how I'm finding people. Yeah.
Anything else? Or can we wrap up? Kailash, can I invite you to thank our panelists and the delegates?
Hello, everyone. It's wrap up time for our very first scientific poster designing online event. And I would like to thank Dr. Serin, Dr. Prasad, Dr. Zarin Kuriakose, and Dr. Akshay for helping these young budding talents and also seniors among us in knowing how to design a poster, which is we all had our poster presentation, but I never thought that such complicated process is involved in making a poster till now. And from now on, I will also try to include this process while thinking of a poster from next time. And I would also like to thank all the delegates who had participated with us during this event. So thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kailash. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.